For more on the situation on the Korean Peninsula, I'm joined by Jim Walsh. He's an international security expert from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Jim, is this much more heated rhetoric, or is it different this time around, would you say?
Well, I think it is a more heated rhetoric, and I think the pace of events is faster than at any time I remember. I don't think the fundamentals have changed. You know, what was true a year ago or even 2 years ago, 5 years ago is still true, and that's the following. North Korea isn't going to start a war. It doesn't want to fight a big war because it would lose. South Korea has a stronger military. The U.S. has a stronger military. Combined, they would obviously be stronger. And South Korea doesn't want to start a war either because they might win, but they would have a piece of soul torn off in the process. So no one wants a war. So that remains the same, but it does feel different, and all the players are doing things that they've never done before. So the U.S. and South Korea have signed a new defense pact last week. They haven't done that before. This is around provocation issues. The restarting the reactor, that hasn't happened in quite some time, that announcement. The flying of the B-52s, the B-2s, the other military assets that are being moved to the region, that's sort of new as well. And then I saw something today that has yet to be commented on. Yesterday, if you read the English language Korean press, you saw President Park essentially having a press conference saying, if there's a provocation, I'm instructing the military now to do whatever they need to do without any political considerations, respond quickly, respond powerfully. And then this morning, for the first time ever, you had a U.S. press conference with a press spokesperson, Mr. Carney, and he referred to his concern about South Korea taking unilateral action and that U.S. behavior, U.S. steps are meant to keep South Korea from taking unilateral action on its own. I've never heard that before. I went and searched the database for any sort of reference to that over the past 5 years. Hasn't shown up. So fundamentals are the same, but it feels more dangerous, and it feels as if the next provocation, the next dead fisherman, could be the road to something small becoming something big.
Jim, I've had a chance to talk to an awful lot of people. Everybody seems to have an opinion about what's going on here, and I want to get you to weigh in on this because it seems like there's two different camps. I talked to Graham Allison yesterday, and he said this is sort of like bad Shakespeare. It's the same act over and over again. North Korea knows that this is at the end of the game. They'll get some money, they'll get some aid, and then they'll agree to go back to the talks, and it's the same thing over and over again. And yet I talked to somebody who was with the NSA, former NSA official, who says, look, this time around, I think that this guy could strike South Korea. Which camp would you say you're in, or do you vacillate from one to the other?
Well, I will stay loyal to Massachusetts and my colleague down the river at Harvard since I'm at MIT. I think I would go with Graham on this one, but I do think there's a little bit of both. In other words, I don't think most countries in the world are not suicidal, and authoritarian leaders, the first thing they want to do is hold on to power. They don't want to involve themselves in something where they would lose power. So I don't think they're going to fight a war they're going to lose, not on purpose, and of course that's the big caveat. There are still accidents and that sort of thing. But I think the other perspective, clearly Kim Jong-un is not his father. He's handling things, he's done a variety of different things that were far different from his father. His personality seems to be different. He's more outspoken, more direct, he talks more, he's willing to admit mistakes. And today, yesterday we had a big development. After all this war talk, they brought back an economic reformer to lead government policy, someone who had been sort of banished to the hinterlands. So it's one thing to announce you're going to do nuclear stuff. It's another thing to reform the economy. For them, that's probably more difficult and more dangerous because they can't control it. So I think that'll be something to keep an eye on. Just happened this week as we go forward is this a different Kim Jong-un? Well, we'll see it after a little experimentation on the economic side and how he handles his first crisis. The first crisis is going to come. And so one test of his mettle will be how he handles that first one.
Jim Walsh, always a delight talking to you. Thanks for joining us from Boston Live this evening.